LeBron James has completely shaken up the NBA by choosing to sign with the Philadelphia 76ers. He passed on returning to his hometown team in Cleveland. He also turned down the opportunity to team up with Steph Curry and the Warriors. Instead, he made his way to a franchise that hasn't captured an NBA championship since 1983. The reason? Philadelphia has assembled a stacked roster, and LeBron is chasing one more championship before his career comes to an end.
In the end, LeBron James chose to ring chase. What did you expect? This is the equivalent of LeBron James saying, I just can't do this by myself.
But now, NBA legends are finally weighing in on the decision. And just wait until you hear how Scottie Pippen connected this move all the way back to the Michael Jordan era, or how Gilbert Arenas went live online and completely reversed course after spending nearly a decade defending LeBron. The media wants everyone to treat this like it's some unbelievable sacrifice because a billionaire agreed to play for an $8 million salary. But anyone looking at the situation logically knows this was one of the most calculated moves the league has ever seen. LeBron James didn't accept a reported $44 million pay cut simply out of generosity. He made that decision because he believed his clearest path to another championship was joining a ready-built contender in Philadelphia. And honestly, it's hard to be shocked because his career has followed a familiar pattern: joining a team, using its assets to compete for titles, and then moving on once the situation becomes more difficult. We've seen him go from Cleveland to Miami, back to Cleveland, then to the Lakers, and now to the 76ers. And remember just 3 months ago after Oklahoma City eliminated the Lakers when LeBron sat at the podium hinting that retirement was a possibility because he wasn't sure what the future had in store.
The future holds for me, obviously.
Some critics argue that LeBron suddenly rediscovered his championship urgency once the opportunity to join Philadelphia became available. Instead of returning to Cleveland, teaming up with Steph Curry in Golden State, or remaining in Los Angeles, he chose a roster many already view as a legitimate title contender. That decision also means his championship hopes now depend heavily on Joel Embiid, a player whose availability has been questioned throughout his career because of injuries, and whose postseason resume continues to divide NBA fans. Supporters see it as a smart basketball decision, while critics believe it's another example of LeBron choosing the strongest possible situation rather than taking on a tougher challenge. That's why this move has sparked such a heated debate across the basketball world. Many longtime fans have pointed to LeBron's history of changing teams throughout his career and argue that this latest chapter fits a familiar pattern. Others believe every superstar has the right to choose the best opportunity available. Either way, opinions couldn't be more divided. One name that often comes up in conversations about loyalty is Larry Bird. Bird spent his entire NBA career with the Boston Celtics, winning 3 MVP awards and building his legacy with the franchise that drafted him. His career was eventually shortened by chronic back problems, yet he continued playing through significant pain and became known as one of the toughest competitors of his era. Over the years, Bird has spoken about how the league has changed, once referring to some modern stars as cocktail guys while discussing player movement. Those comments have resurfaced as fans compare today's NBA to previous generations, although Bird has not publicly singled out this reported move by LeBron. The debate doesn't stop with former players either. Even Gilbert Arenas, who has often defended LeBron throughout the years, reportedly questioned the decision during a recent live stream. Rather than focusing on LeBron's talent, Gilbert argued that the pattern of joining another championship-caliber roster is what continues to fuel criticism. Whether fans agree with him or not, his reaction stood out because he has frequently pushed back against attacks on LeBron's legacy. The timing also added another layer to the discussion. Only weeks earlier, LeBron had joked at Fanatics Fest that he could probably keep playing for many more years. Now, with Philadelphia reportedly becoming his next destination, the conversation has shifted from how long he can play to whether this move strengthens or weakens his legacy. Supporters call it a calculated championship decision, while critics see it as another example of ring chasing. Either way, the spotlight is firmly back on LeBron, and every result from this point forward will be judged through that lens. He spent the last 2 years pushing the Lakers front office to use a draft pick on Bronny, keeping a close eye on reporters from courtside, and turning his family situation into one of the biggest storylines in basketball. But the moment that plan stopped guaranteeing the easiest path to winning, everything changed. He stepped away from his son's development and told reporters that his move to Philadelphia had nothing to do with family reasons. That kind of move is exactly the type of thing that drives a true basketball purist like Gil absolutely crazy. Gilbert Arenas watched his own championship opportunity disappear when the infamous 2010 gun incident brought his prime with the Washington Wizards to an abrupt end before he ever had a chance to compete for a title. He understands what it's like to lose your window because of real-life consequences, while in his eyes, LeBron keeps finding ways to reshape the league instead of competing on equal ground. But then the story took another turn. Paul Pierce entered the conversation. Before his show even went live, Pierce was reportedly caught on a hot microphone backstage. According to members of the production crew, he said, "LeBron just put together 4 All-Stars in Philly and calling it a championship roster. I've seen this movie before, and it doesn't end the way people think." That reaction makes sense coming from someone who built his reputation by standing with one franchise through everything. Fans who remember the Celtics in the 2000s know Pierce survived being stabbed 11 times in the face and back during a nightclub incident, then somehow came back and played all 82 games that very season. He stayed through years when Boston was winning only 24 games, while everyone else around the league was searching for easier situations. When Kevin Garnett and Ray Allen finally arrived, Pierce didn't recruit them through phone calls to create a super team. The Celtics organization brought those pieces to Boston because Pierce had already established himself as the face of the franchise. There's a major difference between a front office building around its star and a 41-year-old joining a roster that already features 4 established All-Stars. Pierce also knows firsthand how paper championships can fall apart because he experienced it himself with the 2013 Brooklyn Nets. At the time, fans everywhere believed Brooklyn was the favorite after adding Pierce, Garnett, Johnson, and Terry. Instead, the team was eliminated in the second round by Miami as injuries piled up, chemistry never fully developed, and the roster couldn't hold together once the playoffs intensified. Big names alone don't win basketball games in April. Pierce has openly said that watching today's super teams makes him feel like something has been lost from the game. He's also argued that the trend really began when LeBron took his talents to Miami. He's the pioneer of this. Now it's just like, man, how many Hall of Fame superstars do you want to team up with? Is he completely wrong? Just look at the results. LeBron has reached the NBA Finals 10 times, but has also lost 6 of them. Simply loading a roster with star power has never guaranteed a championship if the team doesn't have the toughness to finish the job. But if you thought Pierce was delivering the strongest criticism, one of his former championship teammates reportedly took things even further, because loyalty has always meant everything to him. An insider allegedly shared what they described as Kevin Garnett's private text messages to an off-season trainer. According to that report, Garnett was deeply frustrated by the entire situation in Philadelphia. The reported message read, "I spent 12 years in Minnesota competing with what I had. When Ray Allen left us to join LeBron's team, I never got over it because he chose the easy path. Now LeBron is on his 4th team with the most talented roster he's ever had. You tell me what that championship is worth when it comes that easily." That's a Hall of Famer expressing his perspective because he knows exactly what it feels like to earn success the hard way.
Garnett spent more than a decade in Minnesota carrying a struggling franchise on his shoulders without publicly demanding a way out or trying to force moves behind the scenes. Night after night, he battled with limited supporting talent and kept competing regardless of the circumstances. And when he finally captured his championship in Boston at 31 years old, he already was well beyond the peak of his athletic career. Even so, he gave fans one of the most unforgettable post-game celebrations the sport has ever seen. Now he's watching a billionaire accept what many critics call a symbolic $8 million pay cut just to line up alongside 3 established all-stars. That's exactly why this move hits Garnett so hard. He completely cut Ray Allen out of his life after Allen made a similar decision back in 2012. It's just life. Life goes on. But I took that personally because out of every place you could have gone, man, you could have gone to LA. You could have gone somewhere else. Instead, you went to the one team you knew we had beef with. For an entire decade, KG refused to speak to one of his own championship teammates because Allen chose to join a loaded rival. From Garnett's perspective, LeBron heading to Philadelphia feels like that same Ray Allen move all over again, except this time it's stretched across 4 different franchises and more than 15 years of searching for the easiest path. But if you thought KG had the strongest reaction, just wait until you hear what Scottie Pippen had to say. Pippen recently appeared on a Chicago sports radio show and wasted no time criticizing LeBron's move to Philadelphia before the contract was even officially settled. The host barely finished asking the question before Scottie delivered what may have been the coldest warning of the entire offseason. LeBron is about to learn the same lesson I learned. Putting stars together and winning championships are 2 different things. That's not just another opinion, it's coming from a 6-time NBA champion whose own experience taught him that lesson the hard way. Younger NBA fans forget what happened after the Bulls dynasty came to an end. In 1999, Pippen pushed for a sign-and-trade to the Houston Rockets, joining Akeem Olajuwon and Charles Barkley in what looked like a ready-made super team. On paper, it seemed unstoppable. Television analysts everywhere predicted Houston would cruise through the playoffs and compete for the title. Instead, the experiment collapsed. The Rockets were eliminated in the first round by the Lakers, proving that team chemistry can't simply be assembled overnight. Michael Jordan reportedly warned Scottie against making the move before he left Chicago. Pippen ignored the advice, believing the situation would work out differently. Looking back, he later admitted his expectations didn't match reality. I thought I was joining a super team to some degree, but it just didn't work out because I hadn't realized how much one of my teammates had declined as a player. He even admitted that he felt like
It's not ring chasing, it's just defining your legacy. If you can go somewhere else where you can get one, it'll be good. More power to LeBron if he can get with the team and then try to get one more ring. At this point, when we talk about LeBron's legacy, right now we're just talking about extra credit.
The media wants to take that clip and frame it as if Shaq was completely defending LeBron, but there's more context to the story, because Shaq stands out as one of the few NBA legends who has openly supported the move. Part of that comes from the fact that he's also acknowledged making a similar decision late in his own career, when he joined the Boston Celtics in 2010 to play alongside Paul Pierce and Kevin Garnett. He never tried to dress it up as something it wasn't or market it as the start of a new journey. He openly admitted that he was chasing another championship. During a recent off-air conversation caught by studio microphones, Shaq reflected on that decision by saying that people can call it legacy building if they want, but when he went to Boston, he recognized it for what it was: ring chasing. He even suggested that maybe LeBron is simply making the same kind of move he once made, only with a different label attached to it. That comment gave fans plenty to debate, with some arguing that LeBron's decision is being packaged differently, even if the goal is similar. But while Shaq continues defending that perspective, his television partner reportedly had a much different reaction. Charles Barkley was said to be so frustrated by the breaking news that he turned his car around on the way to the golf course just to stop by the Stephen A. Smith show a few days later. he walked onto the set looking fired up and ready to let everyone know exactly how he felt.
Number one knock on LeBron for older guys like myself has always been, yo man, you always stacking your team. He stacked it in Miami. He stacked it in Cleveland. He stacked it in LA. Now he's stacking it in Philly.
One of the most interesting parts of this whole conversation is that Charles Barkley had spent the week saying LeBron should finish his career back in Cleveland with a proper hometown farewell. Instead, LeBron chose a different path, fueling even more debate about what mattered most in this decision. Barkley has his own perspective on these situations, and part of that likely comes from his own experiences late in his playing career. After leaving Phoenix, he joined Houston alongside Hakeem Olajuwon and Clyde Drexler, and the Rockets later added Scottie Pippen. On paper, that roster looked loaded, but it never delivered the championship many expected. Experiences like that are one reason Barkley has often questioned whether simply adding star players is enough to guarantee success. And the discussion didn't stop there. Draymond Green also weighed in on the move, admitting he would have welcomed the chance to play alongside LeBron. His comments sparked even more conversation because many fans immediately wondered why LeBron ultimately chose Philadelphia instead of Golden State. Draymond has spent his entire NBA career with one organization, helping the Warriors build 4 championships over many years, and that loyalty naturally shapes the way he views these kinds of decisions. Whether you agree with LeBron's choice or not, the move has become one of the biggest talking points of the offseason. Some fans see it as a smart championship decision, while others believe it adds to the criticism that has followed him throughout his career. Now the question shifts to what happens on the court. If the 76ers win the championship, and that's still a big if, does another title finally quiet the criticism surrounding LeBron's career decisions, or will it only add another chapter to the debate that has followed him for years? Let me know what you think down in the comments below.